In hypnotherapy, we often use visualization to help clients manifest change. Do you think the frequency of a thought intensifies when paired with vivid imagery? Let's find out.
Hi, Meredith.
Hello. So, vivid images are something that a lot of people probably can do, but not everyone is the same, are they?
No, they're not. I don't think I always see so vividly. I have other senses that probably are more profound than the visual images. I certainly don't see very fine detail and stuff like that, and often don't even see colour. It's not to say I don't see colour, but there are people that don't see anything when you ask them to imagine something.
Aphantasia.
Yes.
So when we're looking at visualizing something really, really strongly, I think really what's more important is the emotion. So the strongest emotion wins and the clearest instruction wins. So if we instruct someone to imagine something, it doesn't have to be surround sound, full visual, complete picture. Sometimes it's a sketch. It's an idea of what it might be, but it may not be so vivid, right? The
But do you also
emotion counts, right?
Yes, it does. But do you also think that your thoughts have a rhythm? Like a melody that plays in the background of your mind? Or, I mean, I know that you have very vivid images, so you might not have that. But for me, my thoughts have rhythms, and sometimes they're really light and airy and float away, and other days they're pretty sort of dark and chaotic.
Mm. I don't know whether I'd personally describe them like that, but I know that when certain things happen, I have sounds of songs playing in my mind. So when
Hmm.
I've finished teaching, for example, I have the final countdown song that comes in my head. You know,
Yeah.
and when I'm in a lift, I have the Burt Bacharach kind of, like the elevator music.
Mm.
So it's a really weird thing where I'm triggered in the way my mood is with sound and song.
Mm.
However, when I'm thinking about the future, I don't think I really use sound and song very much, but I absolutely, for some clients that are very auditory rather than visual, I will use that as an anchor to
Hmm.
anchor in a desired state.
Yeah, because I personally think music really affects us deeply. You hear a sound, or to me, I hear a different piece of music, and that does shift my emotions. I can have different feelings to that various type of music.
For sure. When I was younger, one of my good friends said, "Please don't listen to Pink Floyd anymore." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because you get really depressed and dark."
Sorry to all those Pink Floyd fans out there. We're not
But it
saying that you're depressed
amplified, it
enough.
amplified this depressive dark side of me. So when we're looking at things like that, absolutely, there can be an effect. But if we think about it hypnotically, if we think about how we use that or utilize that in a hypnotic session, we can tune into the client's senses. Now, again, they don't have to visually see it full on for it to be a strong idea. It can be an idea that is through your other senses. How's
Mm.
that going to feel is the most important thing that you want to key in for the client. You want to identify or elicit the right feelings.
And our brain naturally has different frequencies anyway, doesn't it? Depending on what we're actually doing, whether we're actually, actively thinking, or whether we're relaxing,
Mm.
and how deep we've gone into a meditation. You've got your outer, your theta, and your delta waves.
Mm.
Um, So frequency does affect us on many levels, I believe.
Yeah. When we look at the delta waves, this was a conversation we were having a little while ago, weren't we? Because there is this method out there called havening, and it's all the rage at the moment. It's like the in thing to do when we're dealing with trauma. However, it got me thinking, I reckon that people can go into delta in other ways. And I would love to explore that more. That means it looks like sleep, like your brain's sleeping, but you're not. You're actually still awake. And a lot of meditators who have been meditating for years can go into delta waves. So we know it can happen where they're not asleep, but they're aware of this moment in time, but their brainwaves are slowed down so much. And that's a really good zone for processing stress or trauma. So it got me thinking, with the havening, they have movements, right, to induce delta waves. But we can do that by slowing down the pace in which we are delivering the hypnotic journey to someone. So, for example, my normal rate of talking is quite quick. But if I was to guide someone and pace them down into a very, very relaxed delta state, I might have gaps between my sentences. And I might elongate or lengthen through some words. So I could be going into a journey with someone and saying, and just breathe in. And slowly out. And the slower you breathe, the calmer you are. Right? So we can really begin to build into the structure of the timing and delivery of our hypnosis journey to that client to induce delta waves.
Yeah,
there are also breathing techniques, so we can use that too. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, did you want to go on with your breathing techniques
No.
as well? I was just going to say, and I think we go naturally into delta more often than we actually realize. I when we sort of drift off somewhere for a little while and life just carries on, and the next thing we think, oh, where did the time go? What's happened? And stuff like that. But we don't consciously realize that we're actually changing our brainwave frequency unless you're in the field where you would be picking those sort of things up. It's just a natural process quite often for us.
Well, I was looking into those monitors that you can buy to work out what's happening with your brain activity. And it would be really neat to be able to pop that on clients and just observe what's going on in that hypnotic journey. Even in the speaking, like, just normally speaking to and from, people could go into conversational hypnosis where they're slowing down, they're imagining the past, they're imagining the future, and they're joining the dots of understanding. And that is hypnotic in itself. They're focused for a period of time, and they're open, and their creative mind is supporting them in that possibility of things changing. So a lot of times when you're with a good friend and the friend is really listening to you and you have a chance to chat about your dreams, goals, and aspirations, or what's been stopping you, even just having that space to say it out loud will help that person process. And they may well come up with solutions even by letting it out, instead of having it rattling around in their head. Now, saying that, inviting the client to go inward and have a conversation with themselves about that very thing, but in a really empowered way. So you're inviting an intention of empowerment. that's what we do as hypnotherapists. We really support that client to change the frequency, the positive frequency of thinking, in a very relaxed state of mind, whether in alpha, theta, and potentially delta states where they're more open to suggestion.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about using sound as well to help with the hypnosis to change that mind's melody?
Yeah. You just anchored or triggered a memory of mine, and I called it the light sound machine. So if we are playing sound from the one side to the other, to the other, to the other in a certain rhythm, we can actually produce delta waves. Now, some music can have that same kind of effect on the brain as well. So I think Beethoven, and there are certain classical pieces that can really induce states where people can learn more efficiently and things like that when they're listening to it.
They say, don't they, for study, you should listen to classical music because it's better. And I know, like with, it's slightly going off track, but not really, like people with ADHD, if they listen to those bilingual beats as well, that can really soothe the mind.
Yeah, yeah. So white noise as well, brown noise, pink noise. There are sound effects that can help soothe the brain and help the brain focus more efficiently. So I had a client the other day, actually. I said, listen to this and tell me what you feel. And immediately they went, whoa, that's interesting. And they'd never had that experience to listen to the sort of frequency of noise, of sound, and it just calmed them. Yeah, I had ADHD. Yeah. I think if someone has the ability to visualize success, they're more likely to be successful. So, that frequency of imagining vividly in their mind success definitely increases one's ability to be successful. But coming back to what I was saying at the beginning is no one has to exactly visualize completely, cleanly and clearly. They just need to have an element of emotion and a sketch of, or an idea of sorts of what that's going to be, that future. And for some people who have aphantasia, who cannot visualize, they can definitely key into the excitement that they're going to feel as they're successful on the golf field, and or doing something that they really want to achieve.
I often, in that way, if people can't imagine what it is going to be to whatever they're actually trying to imagine to be, get them to find a hero or somebody that, a mentor that they can work like alongside with, and imagine stepping into their shoes and what would it feel like when they were there going to hit, raise the golf club to hit that ball. How would it feel? What would it sound like? What would it look like? And get them to build that imagery up that way, because sometimes
Yeah.
people doing it as a third person find that
Yes.
easier to do.
A level of detachment and observation can certainly help a person to assimilate an idea. But even imagining that person in their mind's eye may not actually be that vivid either, but that's not going to equate to a positive outcome. So you don't have to be an expert visualizer to have an amazing outcome and increase that hypnotic suggestion. That it is about that readiness for change in you. And when I'm guiding a client who is chosen to spend some time working on themselves, they have that vested interest that they want to change something. So it's my duty as a hypnotherapist is to help them through that process, whatever it takes. And sometimes it's that visual idea of success and getting them to explore. If you could imagine yourself in the future being successful in that space, what would that look like? And getting them to start talking about it pre-hypnosis they're actually still going into conversational hypnosis. They're starting to visualize that or imagine that in their mind's eye, even when they're talking about it to you casually. Now, when we get into the more formal part of the session, this is where we can gather their thoughts and ideas, and we can echo it back to them.
It's lifting the vibration, isn't it? Lifting their frequency.
The frequency of belief. You know, if someone's getting excited and they're feeling like, yes, I can do this, their frequency is going to change. They're going to feel more uplifted and ready to go. They're buzzing. They're really excited. Actually, just reminded me of a client I had earlier today. And she said, oh, you know, in the evenings, I kind of get this thing, wow, my life's running out. And there's so many things to do, and I feel like this panic come over me. And I said, well, what if we could reframe that and look at that as an opportunity to take action rather than sitting in that discomfort? Maybe that's positive stress. Maybe that's your internal alarm system saying, hey, you've got stuff to do, let's go plan it. And we started to look at the strategy for her to go away and work on. So what she's going to do is get a whole lot of Post-it notes and write on them the things she wants to achieve. And then she's going to pick the ones that she wants to achieve first and actually put them on the timeline and make a date with destiny. So one of the ideas that she had was to learn Italian. And so I said, what happens if you, every night, when you would normally start to worry about that idea of not having enough time to do all those things, that you allocated that time to learn Italian?
And you're going to visualization as well. Just brought me back to the thoughts of what we've used on the retreats and all that lot, is creating a dream board. So you can go through the magazines and all that lot, and you can cut out pictures that resonate with you for the dreams and goals that you actually want to aspire to, and use that as another way of using your imagination. You look at it every day.
Absolutely, and that's a visual cue. This particular client is an aphantasia client, so she cannot visualize anything. So we use a lot of language, heavy stuff, and then she can go and play with it. So she has very clear, she calls her personal mantra that she says, you know, positive sayings that she started to say often and frequently to herself. She said, it's really lovely, Meredith. They just pop into my mind. I'm going to have a long life, a healthy life, a good life. And that's something she says often and frequently in her mind, just pops out of the blue. And, you know, when we're looking at that success of someone overcoming big fears and barriers and walking that freedom and then going, hey, I've got all this freedom. What do I want to do with it now? Because that's actually where the client had come from. She was so fear-based that her choice menu of things that she was actually doing was really, really tiny. And now that she's overcome all her fears and phobias, she can fly anywhere, she can go anywhere, she can do anything. And she's like busting to do it now. So this is a really good time for her to get on and actually action things.
That's great, yeah.
So thinking about homework, maybe if you want to start visualizing the things, your goals, dreams, and aspirations, maybe do a vision board, you know, go through and cut out some pictures and put them up. Really think about what they mean to you. Or get
creative on Canva.
Yes, true. Or Post-it notes, you know, just kind of put them out on the floor, give it a good afternoon, you know, take time with it to really explore, and then take action. Don't just do the vision board and leave it. Actually start to put it in a date with destiny in your diary, like you're actually going to take steps towards achieving that thing that's important to you. And that's where the inner hypnotist comes in. You're going to be then learning to talk yourself into it rather than talk yourself out of it. But knowing what you're actually wanting to talk yourself into, that's a big part of the process of discovery.
Yes, for sure.
As a hypnotherapist, on that note, quite often we are helping that person to brainstorm what their amazing self is going to be. They may not have given it a lot of time because they've been stuck in the storm of what they don't like. You know, they've been really trapped in their negative reality for such a long time. To imagine anything different from that feels really foreign. So often as therapists, we're here to shed some light on the possibilities of what could come next. It doesn't have to be a repeat of the past. It can be a complete rewrite of what that client could possibly do. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Teresa?
Yeah, I think it's, like where attention goes, energy flows. And if you are it's stuck in that negative spiral going downwards, that's where you're going to stay. So if you shift that thought, then your energy is going to start to flow that way. So it's good to do a check-in, a daily check-in, and think, well, why am I feeling like this? What can I change?
For sure. So if anyone does go away and has a bit of a play with the vision board and you want to share how that was for you, pop some comments down below and we'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions too, please feel free to get in touch. If you want to train as a hypnotherapist, you can visit the website nzach.ac.nz, and there's lots of information in there for you to have a look at. Our training is really dynamic. You're going to get that support, and I promise you I will help you understand those key concepts. As much as I love being a hypnotherapist, I also equally love teaching hypnotherapy.
A new intake starts around mid-February, so don't be shy. Go have a look. Sign up. If it's for you, you can have a free discovery call with Meredith. So yeah, please do check the website out. Also, like, subscribe, and share our channel to your friends and family.
And we have a rolling intake over the year as well. So even if you didn't come in our first module, you can start any time during that year, and then it will loop back and you can cover off those first things. There's lots of information as well that you can read in the meantime that's going to help you to catch up with stuff. And also the recordings from those sessions will be available for you to have a look at as well when you're on the online portal for the students. So anyway, thank you very much, Teresa, for joining me again.
Thank you, Meredith. It's been a delight.
And we'll see you in another week. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today.
Till then, everyone, take care.
Bye.